Good evening, Monday. Hope everyone's doing well, and I hope you've had a good weekend. I still can't see anything. I just see an error screen, so I hope someone is there and that you can actually see me. I'm going to have a look at why it is that YouTube is showing me such weird things. Hey, Stephen. Yeah, according to YouTube, no one is watching. There's even 2 people, and according to YouTube, there's no one here. Yeah, so something's definitely wrong, and my image seems in error also. It's nice to see you, and I hope you've had a good weekend. I am really worn today. I'm just like this. I've been working a lot on our house. We actually had our basement wall has been pushed in for a long time, and we tore the whole thing down, and we lifted the whole house up, and the excavator pushed it in, dug it out, and then now we're building up a new one. I'm not doing it. I'm having people help me with it. Well, I'm doing the digging, but they did the, the masonry. So it's nice to have that done. But I've been thinking a lot about, or noticing, thank you for asking, Emily. Like I said, I feel so worn. I've thought so, like lately, about how people, I don't know what people are doing kind of sometimes. They just seem to, first of all, I think a lot of people are just miserable and want to kind of escape. And I have two reasons that I'm saying this. Have you heard of the rapture? I mean, you may have heard of the rapture. It's like the second coming of Christ, and this whole thing that all the Christians would be taken to heaven and they would just disappear. And there was a African priest, I think, who said that it was going to happen September 23rd, 24th or something, and all these people kind of were preparing for it and selling their cars or getting rid of their stuff because they thought they were going to be going to heaven. And I was listening to one woman who was talking about how, I can't take it anymore, I so want to go away, or the Lord can save me, I have all these problems here, and I just want to go away to the rapture. I want to disappear from here. And it made me think of how it's escapism. We don't want to face reality. We don't really want to be here in this life. We want to be somewhere else. And in Christianity, I mean, for these people, that's the rapture. From what I understand, this is actually not something from the Bible. It's something else that people have kind of melded into the Bible. So I don't know enough about it, but it correlates very much to what I see in spiritual people, and how they have this idea that this life, this world is not what we're supposed to experience. I'm supposed to see a higher level, or like experience another realm, or do something other than here, or be reborn somewhere else, because this couldn't be it. There's this whole idea that this life simply can't be it. It has to be something else. And also the idea that we are somehow eternal. So meaning that after you die, there's a belief that I will continue somewhere else. That's the sense of self, believing that it will continue after the body dies. Again, I have no idea what happens there, but I can see the sense of self wanting to continue. And when I was listening to this woman who was talking about how she just wanted to be raptured, taken away, I thought, wow, that's so sad. And when you listen to the talk she was saying, and she had kids, and it was really like that. This is, you can kind of laugh about it a little bit. Yeah, they're a little bit crazy, but then really there's what do they call it? Rapture psychosis or something. Like they really started seeing things and started hearing things, and they're communicating with God, and God had told them that yes, it will happen that date, and you will be taken away. And it just made me sad when I thought about it. And people make fun of them, but like I said, I have a mother who has schizophrenia, and I recognize these things where they get these ideas and they see things that aren't really there, and they start having conversations, and it just kind of spirals out of control. And it just made me sad and made me think about how many people spend so much time not accepting their lives because they want it to be different. And I can see how easy it is to get into that, and how when someone comes and questions what you're doing or says something to you, you respond by, or not you specifically, but we respond by anger or by and go, oh, like that. I had that today. I was driving with my family in the car, and I was driving, and there was a big truck and a big man inside, and he was driving, and then it was an 80 kilometers, and I was driving, and then lots of cars were in the crossing, and people were coming, and then one guy just floored it, like straight in front of me, so I had to brake to not hit him. And I flashed my lights, and I honked the horn, like, hey, careful. And he just went, this one really, like, so angry at me, and I thought, wow, that's insane. Like, he just almost caused an accident, and he's angry at me for like don't drive out, like don't do it. But he still drove out, of course, because I could see him starting to roll, and then he still did it. Fortunately, there was no accident, but it just, yeah, a lot of people go around with a lot of anger, and we're angry with the world. And I could have gotten angry with him. Instead, I was more rattled. I'm like, I'm not used to that kind of intensity, and it's difficult for me to imagine what it's like to live life like that the whole time. So Emily is saying, I spoke with a friend about how help often starts from within, or getting better start from within. Many people I meet always wait, but never. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When I was listening to this woman who was talking about the rapture, what she was saying was basically that the only one who can save me, the only one who can do something is our Christ the Lord. Or I can't remember what she said exactly, but it's not her. She can't do anything, and no one around. Like, no, a higher power has to come in and save them. And this is really, for me, escapism. Like, we're not facing the reality we have. And it's so easy when life is hard and life is difficult to just think, oh, I'm just going to, someone else has to fix this. Or we blame someone else, and we start complaining about what they're doing, or how life should be different. It's unfair, and like, yeah, whatever it is. I blame religion, Stephen says. Manoj Kiran. Hey, Manoj. What is yuck is former Buddhist monk? What is yuck is former Buddhist monk? I don't understand that comment. You mean I am yuck, or? Stephen, I blame... Well, religion in and of itself is not really, like, there's nothing in religion that's necessarily bad, but people tend to take that and then make it bad, and then kind of cause people to get caught up in that. And I mean, no one knows what happens after life or before life, and everyone has experiences, and they're so convinced that their experience is the right one. And instead of trying to force that upon someone else, because the other person is going to have another belief. And then this is also, I think I was fortunate because I traveled between two different kinds of Buddhism. I traveled between the Theravadan Buddhism in Asia, which was really focused on heavy meditation and really intensive meditation. And then the only thing that was the right path was to sit down, meditate, and like nothing else. The whole world is defiled. There's nothing good here. Like, we should just sit and meditate, and you shouldn't do anything else. Everything else is just a waste of time. And then I went to Plum Village in Europe, which is a Zen tradition with Thich Nhat Hanh, where they focus on interaction between other people and being mindful and really being here and enjoying and appreciating being here, like walking around and smelling the smells and seeing the light and being happy and helping other people. It is such a big contrast, like completely different approaches to Buddhism and spirituality or religion. One thought that the main thing you do is just you sit and you meditate and you become clear in your mind who you are, and like the three realities of what happens inside of you. And the other one thought, no, that's just selfish. You should go out and save the world, kind of, and then work on other people. And both of these people thought the others were nuts. The people in Asia would think, well, they're just like they're not even trying, like this is not serious. And the people here thought, oh, they're just so selfish, they're not doing the completely wrong thing. And they both thought the other was like doing the wrong thing. It was the same religion, different branches of that religion. So I think it's more the people and how we interpret religion, and how it's so easy to run away with that and make it feel bad, and how we can kind of spiral out of control with it. And then we think, oh, well, they're bad people because they don't believe what I do. And then we start running around with this. And then I'm not talking about just I mean, if the problem starts when we start talking about absolutes. This is what happens. This is how it is. So after death, this is what happens. There is one God, divinity, power, or several, and their names are this. Or you have to do this to come on this list. Like, that's when you start talking about beliefs, because there's no way to really know that. And if you say it's in a book, then I know other people who have another book who say, no, actually it's the wrong book. And I'm not choosing a book. I'm just saying and pointing out that they say this is the book, and they say this is the book. And you're always going to have conflict between those two. So that's why I never discuss what happens. I mean, in Buddhism, there's a lot of talk about what happens after life, before life, rebirth, and lots of things like that. And I never give any value to that, because first of all, it's going to be different between different Buddhist traditions. Secondly, there is no point in arguing about it, because I remember when I had just been ordained and I met a Hindu person. We went to a hotel. There was some kind of festival. I can't remember what it was, but I spoke to a Hindu person, and there was there was a guy who was Hindu, and he was a bit aggressive, and he came up to me, and we were talking, and he was really like, yeah, it's like this, and then he started saying about how, well, the main thing, that the thing is, in his gods, whatever, had said that according to Buddhism, there is nothing that can be like, ultimately you can take away is it Atman, the smallest thing, and nothing is reborn. And in Hinduism, they say that cannot happen. The Atman is immortal, permanent, can never be erased, and it will always keep being reborn, reincarnated, I think the Hindus call it. So these two views were like incompatible to him, and he was really aggressive about this. And I remember standing there thinking, wow, I've been ordained as a monk for like, what, 2 months, a month? I don't know. I was quite fresh. And this guy comes up to me and he is upset with me because my religion or belief disagree with what happens after death. And I have absolutely no idea who's right. Like, I'm not saying that that's going to happen after life, or that this is true or not. And I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, I don't know. And it's not about, I should have read more books, then I would believe it. No, because I could have just as well chosen his belief. Like, to me, that's irrelevant. I don't know that. And those things are kind of, I simply cannot know. Why would I waste time on that? But I thought that was really interesting, that someone could, because of the clothes I have, assign a role on me and my beliefs and who I was as a person, and be angry with me because of that. But they never knew me. They never talked to me. And it's so easy with religion to do that we put these things into religion and start being angry with other people. Or how we believe religion is supposed to be practiced. Or not even religion, just spiritualism or yoga or meditation, which is, I mean, that's not really a religion. It's just a way of practicing. But then people can come in, no, it's like this. And if you don't do it like this, then you're bad, you're wrong, you're defiling the original teaching. There's like all these things that come, and people so want to have, I am here, I am right, this is wrong, and we start pushing. And that's not to say that you couldn't go into a discussion and saying like, I've done this, and I've seen when you do this, this happens. And you're saying something else, and you clearly haven't done this yet. So then I can say you're wrong because you haven't done this. But there doesn't need to be a self going and reacting. But we want to be certain of the things we say. We want the things we say and do to be the main thing, but we don't understand that the liberation, the freedom comes from within. It's our, like Amelie was saying, it's our, how should I call it, our distortion towards things, that the discord we have with reality around us, how much we're fighting with that. So to be able to have liberation or freedom, we need to get that from within. Mano is saying, I mean, is being a Buddhist monk some kind of profession? I never heard someone say I was a former monk. If you're not practicing, then how come you can teach others? So I have to read that again. What is being a Buddhist monk some kind of profession? I never heard someone say I was a former monk. If you're not practicing, then how come you teach others? Oh, well, so a Buddhist monk is... there are different kinds of Buddhism, but in the Theravadan tradition, and as far as I know, all Buddhist traditions, you become ordained as a Buddhist monk, and you do that with a school. So I was ordained in the Theravadan tradition. And to do that, you have to have a teacher, a lokohandru, since I was ordained in Sri Lanka, and he's my what should I call it? He wasn't necessarily my teacher, but he was the one responsible for me. And then after that, I traveled to different meditation centers and I meditated. So while I was ordained, it meant I wore the robes. There were certain rules that I had to follow, meaning I couldn't drink, I couldn't have sex, I had to live in celibacy. I wasn't allowed to discuss certain topics, like I wasn't allowed to discuss war, politics. There are certain things you're not allowed to do because you're supposed to focus on your practice. So while you are doing that, then you are ordained as a Buddhist monk. But you can disrobe, and then you would be a former Buddhist monk, or I could say ex-Buddhist monk. Former is, I guess, more British, maybe. So ex would be like the way you would say it in America, maybe. But so yeah, you can be ordained and then you disrobe, meaning that you're no longer following the precepts of a monk. You can still be a Buddhist, you can still do the things that you did as a monk, but you cannot call yourself a Buddhist monk because you are no longer ordained. If I was a Buddhist monk, I would have to wear the robes. In fact, if you take off your robes, even like, and not have any kind of Buddhist monk clothes on, then you're technically speaking no longer a monk and you would have to reordain. If you want to be really strict, most monks don't follow this, but if you ever see monks showering with their robes on, first of all, is to not be seen naked, but one of the reasons they do that is because they always have to wear a piece of robe on them, otherwise they're no longer monks. So yes, I've met a large amount of former Buddhist monks. But again, I lived in this life and I've met many people, so I can understand that if you come from the outside, then you probably wouldn't see that as something that's normal. But you can definitely be ordained and then disrobe. If you go to Thailand, it's customary that all young boys live as monks, novice monks, for a few months. No, sorry, that's not true. How long is it they do it? I cannot remember now, but it's not really a long time. Let's just say it's like, we're talking weeks, maybe months. Every youth should have done that, boy, should have done that in their lifetime, kind of. It's a part of their ritual. So they would be all, like pretty much all Thai boys, men, are former Buddhist monks or ex-Buddhist monks because they will have lived as Samanera, novice Buddhist monks, and then disrobed. And then the other question, if you're not practicing, then how come you teach others? Well, I am practicing, I'm just not a Buddhist monk. So I do practice meditation. And I mean, if you find that for you to learn, the person you're learning from has to be ordained as a Buddhist monk, then absolutely you shouldn't be listening to my videos or to me, because I'm not what you're after. And if you're really into Buddhism and want to learn about what happens after life, before life, about the different levels of existence and all the things that are baked into the religion of Buddhism, then again, this is not the channel to listen to, because there are other people who do that really well. I can recommend, there's one guy, what's his name, who's really good. I think he's Canadian, and he lived as a Mahayana Buddhist monk in Tibet, I think. I can't remember. His channel's name is The Theory of Samsara or something like that, and he speaks excellent English. He is very, very, very educated in Buddhism and meditation, and he's extremely, how should I put this, correct in his way of saying things, and very analytical. And Buddhism has this funny thing, it's very flow chart. So like, you do this, you get this, and that's absolute. Like, this happens and leads to this. If you die in this jhana, then you will be reborn in this level of existence. If you do this, that means that. And there's a lot of theory that many people believe are absolutes, and he is like that. So if you're into that kind of Buddhism, I highly recommend you to listen to him, because he is really good and he is very talented, and he has much more experience in meditation than I do. But he does something completely different, and his purpose of meditation is very different than what I do. He's more into the classical Mahayana approach. So yeah, if that's what you mean when you say, if you're not practicing, then how can you teach others? Then yeah, that's the kind of person you should listen to, because he is very good. And there's many others. There's a lot of ex-monks. I lived in, if you've seen any of my videos, I don't know if you have, or if you just stumbled upon this one. I lived in Plum Village, which is a center in France for Thich Nhat Hanh, which is a tradition that focuses a lot on the like loving kindness for everyone, and as I said before, enjoying and appreciating and your life being here. And in that tradition, it's quite common that they have a program where you can kind of go, and I think you live as a monk for 5 years, and then after that you disrobe and you go back into society. And the idea is that if they have people who stay monks for 5 years, they will have learned the basics of Buddhism and how to bring peace around them. And then those people go out and live life. Because when you live as a monk, you live separate from lay people who are not ordained. And they want people who have been monks to actually go out into society and do good. And I think that's a really cool concept. And they have a lot of ex-monks who have... I know a few of them started YouTube channels. One who I love, Michael Becker, I think his name is. Really nice guy, German monk. He has a channel, I know, that he started. Stephen, is Buddhism falling apart? What makes you say that, Stephen? Amelie, I like to listen to Sadhguru. What do you think of him? Sadhguru. Oh, is he that Indian? He's a Hindu guy, right? Is he the one with the motorcycle? I think that's him, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, when you say that, Stephen, I can see so many different answers to that. So I'm curious, what makes you say that? Mats, we have a famous person in the chat. Nice to see you. I hope everything is well. Just gonna see. Yeah, there you go. I think one of the things, I'll just answer at one of the main angles that Stephen is getting at. One problem that they have in Sri Lanka is that before it used to be that they would send, it was a great honor to have your, I think your oldest son ordained as a monk and live as a monk. It was a great karma for that, kama, for that family to have one of their sons living as a monk. And you would usually get ordained very young, 7 to 8, 9, 10 years old, and then you'd live the rest of your life as a Buddhist monk. In Sri Lanka nowadays, it's quite common that people get ordained, but then they live as monks until they're up in their late teens, and then they disrobe and go back into society, and they've gotten an education by being monks, and people feel that they're using the system, kind of, because it's not what they're used to. They're not used to the idea that someone lives as a monk and disrobes in Sri Lanka. And they have problem with getting monks to stay monks, because before you lived in a little center and you did this, there was not all this influence from the rest of the world. You had one tradition, that was your focus. Now anyone has access to a phone, and most monks do have phones, and they see all these different traditions. They can travel around the world and be exposed to other Buddhist traditions or other traditions completely. And so then it's more difficult for people to kind of stay indoctrinated into one narrow belief of what it's supposed to be, and then just do that. Yeah, he's the one with the motorcycle. Yeah, no, not at all my type. He's an interesting character. For me, it's all about how much sense of self you have, and his way of talking shows clearly he has a lot of sense of self that he's kind of giving out, and he's into giving wisdom and knowledge, and I don't believe in wisdom and knowledge, because that's kind of, people always come to people who are monks and want to ask for advice. What should I do? And I'm kind of like, why are you coming to me and asking for advice? Like, I'm not even living as a layperson. I had people come up and ask for advice on how to raise their kids. I live in celibacy. I don't have any kids. Why are you asking me? It's crazy. And I've heard some really insane advice from monks around stuff they have no idea about. And yes, there is some reason behind it, because monks, if they know the Buddhist scriptures, then the Buddha gave advice, and so the idea is that they would give that advice back, kind of. Or the idea would be that they're very centered and calm, and as someone who has meditated tens of thousands of hours, I have a different perspective on what happens in a conflict, or I have a different perspective on how to deal with your emotions, or how to deal with beliefs, or when you find things are difficult, that could be helpful. So yes, you could ask for advice or wisdom, but I never considered, like, I would never give advice to someone, because I don't know. I can help other people get rid of their distortion, meaning this feeling of, what's going to happen if I make the wrong choice? And then when you feel better about that, then you're going to be the best person to make that choice. So I don't really believe in wisdom and sharing insights like that. Mats, I've been having a good time. Just got back from vacation in Denmark. Hey, could have gone by Sweden. And today I went on a motorcycle trip to my best friend to congratulate him on his birthday. How have you been? It's nice to hear, Mats. I'm very happy that you're... I mean, for me, this is like the ultimate practice. Someone who comes here, meditates, and then they just disappear and go out and enjoy life. Because why the reason we're doing all of this is to not be that guy who I met in the corner, like yelling and throwing me off because he had kind of done the wrong thing in traffic and was angry at me for pointing that out, or the people who are upset with the world, or upset with people who don't believe what they should believe, or all these things, or these ideas that, oh, I'm not good enough because now I'm a spiritual person, I realize what a bad person I am. Ultimately, it's really about enjoying being here and being alive in this life experience. Not, oh, I'm getting all this stuff, so now I'm happy, but actually being out experiencing the world. And that with that comes happiness. It comes also sorrow and mistakes and regrets and grief. Like, all those things are natural, but we should be out experiencing life. And the more you experience life, the more stuff is going to come up, and the more use you'll have of this whole system of actually observing how you relate to the world and learning to live in the world in a way that is with less friction, with less anger from you. It doesn't mean that other people have to, in other words, learning how to live in society without needing other people to behave the way I want them to behave. I think a lot of people behave really poorly and they could behave differently. But if my happiness was hinged on them changing how they act, then I could never be happy. I could never enjoy this life, because there are always people who I would want to behave differently. And it's okay that they do. And then I just have to learn, how do I live my life with that happening? Not saying that whatever they do is okay and I'm not going to be upset, I'm not going to do anything about it. It just means I need to learn to feel good and enjoy being alive, despite other people acting like idiots at times. And that's just my perspective. I think they're idiots, but the other person might not think so. I mean, they probably think I'm the idiot. Mats, I noticed that not meditating for a while impeded my enjoyment of a life a little. Autopilot was active even though it was mostly beautiful. That's the other part of it. So what tends to happen is you meditate, you get back on track, and then as soon as you start feeling good again, you go out into the world, and then you kind of forget your practice, and then something happens and you kind of come back. The best way to do it is first of all, to get out. And for you especially, like we've talked a lot, and you should be out enjoying life. I am so happy to hear that. That's the right thing to do. But if you keep your practice, you won't fall so deep when things get tough. It won't knock you off like your train of feeling good so much. And it also helps you see that the reason you feel good is not actually just because of those things. It might seem that, oh, I have a new girlfriend, so I'm happy. That's why. Of course, that helps. And of course that makes it easier, but you have to allow yourself to feel happy. You could have a new girlfriend and be miserable and just be upset with everything she does and be irritated at everything. And it could be that in a few weeks you will be, because now you're no longer feeling love. So then you have to learn, okay, how do I actually enjoy this person without this feeling of woo? That's like something I was very poor at. Most of my relationship lasted for a few months, and then something was wrong with that girl, and then I had to change. Girl. I mean, I didn't have to change. I had to change the girl I was with. Marlene that I'm with now, we've been together for 10 years now, I think. 25th of, we just celebrated 10 years, I just remember. So it's something you have to learn, kind of. But having your practice and seeing how these things happen mean that when you feel good, it's easier to keep feeling good. And when you keep feeling good, it's easier to keep your relationship's good, and it's easier to enjoy life around you. And when you enjoy life around you, other people become happier. And when other people are happier, it's easier for you to be happier. And when you're happier, then it's easier to go out and do things and be out in the world. And then you meet other people. And since you're happy and enjoying life, then they're going to enjoy life also, and they're going to enjoy being around you. And it just kind of spirals up instead of down like it tends to do for some people. Amelie, I go into the mountains for a few days to connect with myself again. Oh, I wish I could do that. Could you take care of my kids? And I'll go up into the mountains and say, well, I would love to do that. That sounds amazing, Amelie. And that's a really good call to do. Mats, I also realized emotionally that having the perfect life doesn't really matter for enjoyment of the moment. Exactly. It kind of felt like a setback, but it also opened my eyes that distortions ruin the good moments and make everything unnecessarily more difficult. Hence I'm back. That's basically everything I teach in like 2 paragraphs. This is the thing. We think we need to find the perfect life or the perfect partner, whatever it is. And that doesn't bring happiness. If you're not there to allow yourself to enjoy it, then it doesn't matter. Many of you sitting here think, oh, if I could just have enough money, then I would be super happy and everything would be grand. Just look at the people who are like super uber rich. They seem miserable, some of them. Some of them don't. Some have actually learned how to enjoy life despite being rich. But others just really, it doesn't matter. So having the perfect life is not the thing. When you see that the thing that ruins, because think about this. When you're sitting there right now, you're sitting there focusing on me, listening to me. If you had $1 billion on your bank account, it wouldn't change this situation. The thing that would change is that you would feel more relief because, I don't need to feel the pressure of paying my bills, of having to worry about where I'm going to live, of my work, of all these things. I don't have that pressure of what I'm going to do tomorrow when I have to go back to work. All of that is outside of here, outside of now. All of that is distortions. They're not real. And when I say they're not real, I mean they're not happening now. To you, we're right here. There are things outside of here. So there's no reason they would actually ruin now. And even if they were here, it would simply be things happening if you took away the story. So learning to see the distortions and learning to understand how, despite life going well or going bad, that is not a defining thing of how you're experiencing life. You are the one who is coloring your experience. And if you are angry, if you're upset, you're going to be angry with everyone and upset with everyone who doesn't agree to your terms. And there are a lot of people out there who are so fighting with life, fighting with the world, and fighting with people around them. And that was the thing I started out with. It just makes me sad when I see that, how we make it so difficult to be happy. We make it really difficult. We put all these ideas of how we have to be, how we have to look. And then some people say, oh, screw that. I'm just going to like sit and eat whatever I want and then they kind of go down physically. And when you don't feel good physically, you feel bad emotionally and mentally. So actually taking care of your body is not a bad thing. But if you do it because you need other people to think you look cool and good and like feel like a certain way, then it's not about what we do. It's about what's behind what we do. You could go out and really want to get fit and really want to take care of yourself, but you do it for you. My fiancée, for a long time, when she was spiritual, she was against dressing up. She just wore very plain clothes. You've seen her. If you watch the stream, she's extremely beautiful. And she was tired of men like always watching at her, wanting something from her. So she had very plain clothes when she was spiritual and never dressed up. And then and she loved dressing up before. And now, like since a year or 2 back, she really, every morning she dresses up and she puts out and like makes an outfit. She likes color matching and making herself look beautiful. And I think it makes her feel good. She doesn't do that because she wants men to look at her and get attention. She does it because she enjoys it. Because it's nice to walk around in clean clothes and like nice clothes. And I like that feeling also. It's just that my neck is so bad. I can't have anything that lies on my back. Otherwise, I would love that also. So it depends on what's behind what you're doing, not what's actually happening. And it depends on how much you're able to just be here. Let's see. Mats, achieving most of my life goals actually made me depressed for a second. Yeah, because you get sucked into the anticipation of happiness instead of enjoyment of the moment. Yeah. when I talk about this, why I became a Buddhist monk, when I talk about how I had gained my monthly salary, that was my goal. And I remember coming home and nothing happened. I really had this feeling, oh, I'm going to work, and I pushed and I really worked and I got it. Yes, I finally had my financial goals in hand. Like, comparison to what people make today, it's like nothing. But for me, that was a lot of money at the age of 29. And I could not really spend money like that. It was like more than I need, way more than I needed. And then it was just, well, what happens now? Like, it was exciting for a few seconds, and then it was just, wait a minute, there's nothing here. Nothing changed. It's still the same. Just because I have all this money in my bank account, nothing changed. And that's what you see people who go to Hollywood to become really famous. They have the same thing. They work so hard and they get that goal, and then they get depressed because nothing was there. They expected something to change, and they had that tension, distortion that drove them, and then nothing is there. Because there is nothing at the end of the rainbow. Like, that thing has to come from inside, which is why, I mean, Steve, I'm not picking on Stephen, but Stephen and I, we talk a lot about driving force and being motivated and pushing and becoming something and becoming successful. And I always say you need to try that out to see that there's nothing there, but ultimately it really doesn't lead to anything, except, I mean, go out and make money for sure. Like, life is much more fun if you have enough money to live life and don't have to live out on the street. Be in good physical health, for sure, because if you're sick, trust me, it's much more difficult to do what we're talking about. I sometimes say, people who sleep at night, I don't understand how they can have problems. Because if I could just sleep at night, I would have no problems at all, it feels like. My life would be so different. But I have to work with that, and I have to plan around it, knowing that sometimes I sleep 2.5, 3.5 hours because I have so much pain. And I always wake up every morning because my body is in stress, and my whole nervous system is kind of overworked from lying with pain the whole night. So I never wake up in a nice way, but that's just life for me. And then I think if I could just have that, then I could be happy. Amelie, Mats, I feel you. I achieved a goal a few months back I was working towards for 3 years, and now it sometimes feels like lost time. Can you put the Discord link somewhere again, please? Mats, are you able to copy the Discord link from... Actually, Amelie, if you go to my latest video and click on the top comment, there's a Discord link there, and you can get into Discord. By the way, I'll mention it again. The reason I haven't made any videos lately is because YouTube was pushing really the wrong kind of people to my channel. There was people who first of all didn't speak English natively, which makes them listen to the dubbed versions, which kind of loses the whole point of what I'm saying, the feeling behind it. And I wanted to do kind of a reset of what I do. And I also wanted to change a bit, that before I was more into just the meditation and what we're talking about here, but I realized that a big part of what I want to do is focus on how much of spiritual practice is leaned towards escapism, I guess. Not accepting your life. You have to practice law of attraction to get a life that's good, and then you'll like being alive. But actually enjoying being here, being who you are, being where you are, doing what you're doing, that's boring. Like, we don't want to do that. That's not fun. That's not spiritual. It's all about coming somewhere else, or becoming someone else, or becoming the grandest version of yourself, instead of just being you, just sitting here. And so for me, being able to sit down and just talk like this and really feel like you're fulfilled doing that, that's really what it's about. It's not about all this other stuff that just don't really matter. So it's a bit of a change with the channel, and right now I've been taking a break and just focusing on, like I said, renovating our house. Hey, Mindful Mama, nice to see you. And just doing other stuff. So I will be producing videos again soon. I just haven't had time to do it, and I wanted to do a bit of a reset and rethink. And it's been very good having these evening sittings, because having these discussions really made me think, what do I enjoy talking about? And it's exactly what we spoke about here. This is really it. The other stuff is not important to me. And there are other people who are really good at that, and if you're interested in that, just go and listen to that, because you have to go through that also and see if that leads to you to where you want to go. And I've met enough people to see that they get stuck in that, and they're just looking for the next magical teacher, the next technique that's going to save them from where they are into something else, instead of accepting who they are, where they are, and learning how to accept other people being the way they are without that ruining their own enjoyment of this thing they're doing right now. The belief that other people have to be a certain way for me to be happy is so ingrained in us that it's difficult to get rid of. And it's not always easy. Even if you understand this, it's still difficult. I struggle with this sometimes. And there are some core beliefs that really hit and hurt deep inside of us. Good evening, when I see you. Osh, you should have come to visit Mats next time you're close. Yeah, exactly. Send us a message. For sure, that would be really fun. The funny thing is that after I started having the meditations a bit earlier, now I'm just talking longer because I enjoy these sessions before so much. Today is Monday, and we usually have a chat before like this, and then we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. After that, we do a guided meditation, which is today. So thank you everyone for being here. I love these discussions, and they really, for me, this is what I enjoy. This is, even if I don't make any videos, I really love talking about these things, and talking to others about it helps me, and I hope listening to it helps you as well. Even if you disagree with what I say, hearing someone else's perspective can be useful and can help you find your own way wherever that may be. So, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is a way, thank you, you too, to come back to our senses. And we say out loud 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And we do this to come back to our senses. So we'll do it together. It's a great exercise to do if you feel that there's too much stuff going on in your mind, because it really brings you back to here. So I'll say it out loud and you can say it on your end. I feel my voice is starting to give out. I see a chair. And really look at the chair. Not, oh, I know a chair is good, it's bad, like it's cheap, it's expensive. Just see the shades, the colors, the lighting, the shadows, the textures, how everything kind of moves around. I see a Buddha statue. I see some electrical cables. I see 2 fire extinguishers. Prepared for fire here. And I see a computer. Next, 4 things that we can feel. I can feel my legs underneath this blanket. I can feel my beard. And there's 2 parts. I can feel the beard being touched, but I can also feel my hand touching the beard. I'm very different here because I'm newly shaved. And here. I can feel my telephone. I have a sense of curiosity, of childlike, oh, this is nice, I wonder what this is, and just really look as if though you've never seen it before. Not, oh, I know what this is, but actually just looking at it and, oh, seeing. Nice to see what this looks like. I can feel my woolen sofa. There's 4 things I could feel. Next we take 3 things that we can hear. I can hear a car driving by. I can hear the fans on the computer spinning. I can hear a door closing. 3 things that I could hear. Next, I take 2 things that we can smell. I can smell sweat. And there's a sweet smell. I'm not sure what it is. Finally, one thing that we can taste. There's a sweet taste, almost like strawberry. So for this meditation, I want you to start by focusing on your breath. I want you to bring your awareness just to breath happening. We don't need to feel every single sensation of the breath. We don't need to be aware of the tiny, minute sensations that can come from breath, but instead it's just an awareness breath is happening. It's important to be relaxed, and it's important that you lean towards enjoying this moment. You might have lots of things that happen before you sit down, lots of things that will happen after you sit down, and maybe there's something really difficult that's going to happen tomorrow that you're even now stressing about, or feeling bad about, or worrying about, or thinking about. But I want you to give yourself permission for the next 20 minutes to just let all of that go. There's nothing you can do about it right now because you're stuck sitting down for the next 20 minutes. So give yourself permission to just do nothing. Do nothing at all except sitting down and observing your breath for the next 20 minutes. After that, you're free to get up and run around with your arms in the air and screaming and yelling about how terrible life is and how difficult your situation is. But for now, we're stuck just sitting here. Another important thing is to be forgiving towards yourself. The best way to really gain concentration and to become calm is to notice that you're no longer observing your breath or your object of meditation. The quicker and the more times that you can notice that, the calmer your mind is going to be. The goal is not to have a mind that doesn't have thoughts. A good meditator is not one who never has any thoughts intrude or no thoughts come up, or who never gets distracted. A good meditator is someone who notices that they've been distracted and can then go back to their object of meditation without condemning themselves, judging themselves, thinking they did something wrong, criticizing, thinking everyone else sitting here is doing so much better. But instead, you just realize, oh, I drifted off into my thoughts. Now I'm going back to observing my breath. The more times you can do that and not be upset, not be disappointed in yourself, the quicker it'll go for you to gain concentration and become calm and learn how to see this moment for what it is. After all, the reason we're doing all of this is to enjoy being alive, is to be happy to be alive. We're not doing this to escape this moment. We're not doing this to go somewhere else. We're not doing this to communicate with some other dimension or figure some kind of difficult question out or come up with the answer for whatever problems you may have. We're doing this to learn how to enjoy being alive no matter what your life circumstances are. And there are some very difficult circumstances in life for us to enjoy being alive. That's why we need to practice even more and be forgiving towards ourselves when we can't enjoy the time that we're having right now. And realize that sometimes it's just impossible. We cannot do it now. And that's okay. And then you start over the next day. Maybe it doesn't work at all the next day, so you wait until the next day. But all the time, leaning towards feeling good, enjoying the small steps that you take, and gradually it'll get easier and more natural to actually enjoy whatever is happening to you, rather than needing reality to be a certain way for you to enjoy being here. To make it easier to sit, we're going to do an exercise where we count our breaths from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. I will do it with you once and then you continue by yourself. So breathing in and out. 1. In and out. 2. In and out. 3. In and out. 4. In and out. 5. In and out. 6. In and out. 7. In and out. 8. In and out. 7. In and out. 6. In and out. 5. In and out. 4. In and out. 3. In and out. 2. In and out. 1. Keep counting your breaths from 1 to 8, and then down again from 8 to 1 as you breathe in and out. 1. In and out. I want you to keep on observing your breath, but feel free to let go of the counting. Instead, just let your awareness rest on your breath as you're breathing in and breathing out. Next, I want you to ask yourself, how are you doing right now? Are you feeling good? Are you enjoying yourself just sitting here? If you are, then see if you can sink a little bit deeper into that feeling. Don't force it, don't push it, don't squeeze it, but just lean in the direction of, what does it feel like to feel good? Is there any kind of quality to that feeling that you can bring to the surface? We are so used to focus on all the bad and negative stuff that happens to us. Shadow work and going into digging about all these dark secrets, and we love bringing up the dark parts, but rarely do we bring up the positive and the nice experiences we have of the world. So if you are enjoying just sitting here, then just try to do a little bit more of that. Not by running a story in your mind thinking, oh, if I could just have a nicer cushion, I'm going to get a cushion, I'm going to enjoy it even more. Or I'm going to sit every day and I'm going to feel like this all the... No, just what does it feel like to enjoy sitting here? What does it feel like to feel good? And just do a bit more of that. If you're not really enjoying sitting here, or if it's a little bit difficult, maybe you're even upset about something, ask yourself, why? What was it that happened that made you feel that? Many times we trace our thoughts back and we say that, oh, I had that conversation before I started meditating, and then someone said something to me, or something happened, or I read about something that I got very upset about. That's why I'm not feeling good now. Because they did this. It's almost as if though some outer force is attacking you. You are here, and then something is pushing against you. This is an illusion. There's nothing pushing against you. You are creating that distortion. And the feeling that feels like you are that distortion, is that distortion. In other words, you are creating the problem, and the problem is you. It's not that other people are punishing you or giving you that feeling. You yourself are punishing you. You yourself are giving you that feeling. They might do something that causes that, but there's nothing that says that you have to react that way. There's nothing that says that that's an absolute reaction to whatever happened. Because if that were true, then everyone would respond in exactly the same way to the same stimuli. When in fact, you won't even respond to the same way to the same fact, to the same stimuli, depending on what day it is, depending on what time it is, what place it is, who says it, how it's said. So looking at the thing that caused you to slip out of whatever you were feeling before, which was hopefully a bit better than now, see if you can see how it's a rather silly thing to do, to be upset with that, because you are ruining this moment, this only time that you have to be alive. If you're ever going to feel better, it will be now. You can never feel better then or in the future. Whenever you choose to feel better, will be now. It's not going to be this now, perhaps, but how about this one? And if you miss it, if you can't do it now, then the best part is there's actually a new one coming right now. And now. And now. And now. And now. There's endless possibilities to feel good if you allow yourself to do so. Thank you. That was very nice. I enjoy that I sometimes listen to myself like, oh, that's true. Yeah, I should be doing that as well. I guess I had this rather difficult thing that's been happening lately. There are some people behaving in very strange ways. And it's kind of lying in the background. I'm like, yeah, this is such a dumb thing. Why do I why do I make myself feel bad about that? I still have to deal with the situation. It doesn't mean it's going to solve itself. But why do I keep creating this feeling towards them, creating this pressure? I did too, Emily, and I'm happy you did as well. So much for saying thanks for the offer. Oh yeah, absolutely, Mats. Tell us next time. And it's nice when we have interesting discussions before. As I said, I started earlier so that I could go to bed earlier. But it just ended up being more discussions. It is a little bit earlier, so I'm happy about that. If you enjoyed, keep on sitting, enjoy yourself. Otherwise, I will see you on Thursday. And yeah, I hope I will be starting to make videos again soon. I think I will need another week or two to get ready, and I'll be releasing a few at the same time. So until then, good night. Thank you. Have a great week, and I'll see you on Thursday. Good night.